Hey guys, Mr. Gibson here. I'm going to show you guys how to evaluate functions using something called function notation. Okay. Here's function notation. It's basically a variable that stands in for a function. So this f right here, that's just a cursive f, is what we call the function variable. And what functions do is they take in inputs and they give out an output. So they put this parentheses and our input's going to be x here. So we're saying this function takes in the input x and it will equal the output y. Okay. Here's a little diagram of how functions work. So you have this little island here of inputs. These are values that are inputs. Okay. So this is x sub 1 is one of those inputs. And what a function does is it takes one of the inputs and it makes it become one of this island of outputs. So the function takes this x of 1, you put it into the function machine here, and it is outputted y sub 1 or f of x sub 1. Okay, so that's what the function does. Function notation is just a very shorthand way of doing that. Okay, so let's see how we can use function notation. So equations and function notation. So we have this function h, let's just say cursive h. So h of t, that's how you say this, by the way. When you have this notation right here, this function notation, you say h, the function of the input, which is t. T is the input. So h of t equals, okay, this equation, this expression over here is our output. So h of t equals negative 2t minus 4. Okay. Now what I'm going to evaluate is when the input, so t stands for any type of input that we have. So I want to know the output when the input is negative 1. So when t equals negative 1. So here's what I'm going to do. So instead of using just the generic variable t, I'm going to use negative 1. Okay, so I'm saying h of negative 1. So the function h when the input is negative 1 equals negative 2. Well, I had a t right here in my output, so I'm going to go ahead and put a negative 1 there. So I'm just substituting. Okay, just think of it as substitution. So again, negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2 minus 4. Positive 2 minus 4 is negative 2, so that's the output. So the input, so when the input is negative 1, the output is negative 2. Let's look at graphs. Let's look at some graphs here, okay? So the function of a graph, okay, I have this function L. I have L of A equals 6, so 6 is my output. Here's our coordinate plane. My A is my input, so it's down here with what's your X variable. And this big H right here is going to be my output. So this curve right here, that's our function, that's L. Okay, and that curve can tell us a lot of information about inputs and outputs, because all this curve is just a collection of inputs and outputs for that function. Okay, so for the input A, the output is 6. Okay, so if I look at the graph, okay, they tell me that the output is 6. I want to find out what A is. Well, if I look at the graph, I go over here, the output is 6, go down here, the input is 3. So my input is 3. So that's how I can use a graph to show me what the input is. Okay? Thanks for your attention.